Hey guys, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to Union Cross. So, Medal Spotlight for Kairi and Xion EX Plus or Kai and JP. Basically, I'm going to go over these two medals, even though I did a video on Kairi already, where you see her all shadowed out and the noted eyes on the thumbnail. I already did that video explaining exactly what Kairi does, but there were some things I didn't touch on, and also Xion is here now. How do they combine together? How good are they? Can you overwrite them together? I'm going to talk about all that in detail and the best places, skills, traits, everything, and where they shine the most. So first off, we all know what Kairi does and we all know what Xion does, but just to kind of go over a little quick recap, just like my previous video, I have this layout for you guys. It has everything, including, if you look at the top right there, it lowers the enemy's attack, attribute attack down by 2. This is the first medal in the game to actually do this, and Xion does the same thing. So they have every single buff and debuff that we want. They raise our guilt by 80%. They restore gauges by 10. They also put +1 on the enemy's counter. They restore paralysis and poison sleep. If she gets affected by sleep, you can't really do anything about that, but she does cure poison and paralysis. So she's got everything that you need and more, especially with that whole Overwrite ability being up there. And Xion is exactly the same, just reverse. As you can see, Kairi over here does 7 strength for upright and 7 defense down for upright, where Xion, the only difference is that those two are going to be reversed because she is a reverse medal. So that is what Kairi and Xion currently do. I want to talk about everything else that they are and what you guys might not know about them. So the first thing is that as a 7-star, if you evolve them, the only thing changing here is that their multiplier is going to go to a 6.67 from a 1.51. Damage on these medals don't matter, so you don't got to worry about the multiplier or anything like that. Do they add anything else when they become a 7-star? No, so they're exactly the same, so there's no point to making these medals 7-star. Don't waste your fairies on that. Same thing goes for Xion. She goes from that 1.51 to that 6.67, and then that's it. That's all that changes on these 7-star medals. The main thing about these is that they do have the effect to cure poison and paralysis, which is amazing. And also, if you get these ones boosted has 5 trait slots. So non-boosted Kairi and Xion only has 3. If you do get them boosted, you get 2 more trait slots, and that's going to be very important as we go through this video. So, are these medals very game-changing or breaking compared to when the other Kairi and Xion came out? If you guys remember from before, Kairi and Xion's that we had changed the game by a long shot. So this was our main buffer that we used to have. It gave us everything that we wanted back then compared to the medals that we had. Nothing compared to a 0.2 Kairi. It was almost near impossible to mimic this medal's effects. So this medal back then was just game-breaking, game-changing, all that fancy stuff. And then when the new Kairi and Xion came out, they just ripped that 0.2 Kairi out of the water, and again, there was no other medals that could keep up with this buff and debuff. If you didn't have these medals, you weren't having the best of the best. You could still get away with 0.2 Kairi being able to pass all the PvE content until a couple months, like 3 or 4 months down the line, where Kairi and Xion were needed and we couldn't do anything without them, and that's when they came out with the Mercy Pull. So when this Kairi and Xion decided to join our game, they destroyed everything. They were the main things to go for. They were the reason you were spending your jewels, and there was no question about it. They were game changing. They were game breaking. It was them or nothing. But the difference now is we've got medals that do all that. So Kairi and Xion, yeah, they're game changing, as in they have all of the things in the game put into one. Esuna, they've got a new Overwrite Ability, which means it doesn't matter what the enemy has or what you have on you, they change that. That is huge, and on top of it, they cure your status elements, which is crazy. Not so much for PvE, but for PvP. So they're great in that sense, but they don't scream, "I broke the game. I need you to pull me," because we've got medals like the Prime Stained Glass medals, and we've got medals like the Prime medals. So Stained Glass medals and Prime medals, these medals got everything that we want and more. So their appearance in the game right now is not as much as when those first Kairis and Xions came out. When these came out, these were very known. You knew their presence, you knew they were there, and you knew you needed them. When you faced someone else, well, you didn't have PvP, but when you went into like high score challenges or Coliseum, you know you weren't going to make it that high without them. They were very, very important. They were game changing, they were game breaking. Now for these ones, not so much. So when I come and I tell you guys don't pull for them right now, that's because I'm saying that you don't need them and you should wait for the mercy pull, because you can pull a lot of times and not see anything, and then when the mercy pull comes around, that 30,000, that 45,000 jewels you wasted trying to chase it, you could have went towards a 10 mercy pull or maybe a 15 mercy pull. That's 30 to 45,000 jewels, but the game does not scream for that even during that mercy pull. But if you really, really want it, you can wait out on this medal. So not to undersell these medals saying that they're not as good as the other Kairis or Xions, they've got 3 big differences that other medals don't have, other buffers. Number 1 is that if you sort everything and you go attack, attribute attack down, they are the only medals that show up because they are the first of their kind to be able to do that. So later on we're going to get attack medals that probably going to do it, or some buff medals are going to do it, but right now they're the only way to lower the enemy's attribute strength down. Another thing is that they are also part of the category of restoring status ailments. So if the enemy puts sleep on you, if the enemy puts paralyze on you, or poison, sleep doesn't really count, you can cure that off. So that is 2 things that the other Kairis and Xions don't have. And then the biggest thing being that they have this ability called Overwrite. Like we said it over here in the beginning, the big Overwrite that I have in those capital letters over there, that is what makes this medal amazing and very, very game changing. Not breaking, but game changing, because there is nothing else in the game that does what they do. So Overwrite ability, if you guys don't know what Overwrite is, Overwrite basically means that no matter what you do in battle, if someone lowers your general strength, if someone lowers your defense, if the enemy has +7 everything, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna get rid of all of that. So you're grabbing the racer and you're just erasing all these buffs, and then whatever she has, she's slapping it down, and boom, that is what it is. There is no questions, no ifs, no buts. If you have -7 attribute strength down, if you have negative strength down, or anything like that, it's erased, and whatever she does is applied over it. It overwrites all the abilities. And this is kind of tricky, because then you might think to yourself, well then, if I try to buff myself with reverse or try to do something to the enemy, it's going to take all that away. It's kind of bad then. Yes and no. There's 2 things, actually 3 things that slip by this, because Overwrite only overwrites what she applies. So let's go into a quest with Kairi and Xion, and let me show you what I'm talking about. Even though it overwrites everything, there is 2 key things to keep in notice here. One is your pet's tricks. If you buff yourself past +7 for attribute strength, you're going to get an extra 1 tier on top of there. So you might be thinking to yourself, well then Kairi and Xion, they screw over the whole +8. If you go over +8 and then you cast them again, like with extra attack, you would end up losing that +8. It does not apply. So let's go into a quest real quick, and let's just do this one. So I got a setup right here with Kairi and Xion. They stack, guys. They don't stack all the buffs and debuffs because they override each other. What they do stack is the reversed and their upright. So we're gonna get the 1 cast of Kairi on here. So you can see right now everything has -7 +7 on our side. So everything's straightforward. You guys can see we have the upright strength buff, and you can see they have the upright defense down. Now right now it's all at +7. So on my character you can see it says ×8. I have ×8 strength, ×8 power, speed, and magic. So you think if I cast Kairi again with extra attack, that would be a bad thing because we would lose that +8. We don't lose the pet's ability. The +8 stays. As you guys can see, there's the magic and the speed and the power still at ×8. Now what happens if we cast another Kairi? Do we lose all our buffs and debuffs that other Kairi just cast? Well, let's find out. So Kairi just casted. Now we still have ×8 each one, so pet ability still applies. There's the upright and there's the reverse. They only take away what they apply. So since Xion does not apply that reverse defense down or the reverse strength up, the Kairi and the Xion won't battle each other. You can actually use both in the beginning and then use a Keyblade setup of pure upright and reverse metals and not even think about it. That's what I mean by game changing, but it's not game breaking just yet, just because of what we have. So if you also look at the enemy's gonna have right now ×7 upright, ×7 reverse defense down. So again, everything applies, but the only things that didn't reapply, as you guys can see, is right here in a couple seconds, ×2, ×2, ×2. That's because they both apply the same ability. So they overwrite. No matter the extra attacks, no matter if it's a Kairi or Xion, that ×2 attribute strength down is still an overwrite ability because they both do the same thing. But if we go back else, there's one more thing that doesn't count between the Kairi and the Xion that they won't affect. So this will also makes them really, really good. Let's say you're in PvP and your second Keyblade setup lowers the enemy's attack for 2 turns by whatever tiers. So let's go move Kairi and Xion for now. And what we're going to do is bring in a medal that lowers the enemy's general attack. That's because Kairi and Xion, the Overwrite ability, they don't apply that. So let's use Xion in the beginning. The whole buff and debuff thing is not going to matter because Kairi's going to take care of all that anyways. The only thing that's on the Xion that's really important right now, because what he has, Kairi doesn't have. Strength down by 3 tiers. So let's jump into a quest right now. So we're looking at PvP when we talk about this. Your turn 2, your second Keyblade, you activate Xion or another medal that lowers the enemy's general strength down by whatever tiers. So in this case, ×3. And then you cast yourself in turn 3 in PvP with your Kairi. What ends up happening is the ×3 still stays there because Kairi does not apply it. So boom, right there. Enemy still has ×3 general attack down. So just because the Overwrite ability says that it erases everything, it doesn't erase everything. It only erases what they cast. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Kairi and Xion are very, very unique, and they don't disrupt extra attack, they don't disrupt other debuffs like general strength, and they don't affect each other. It is straightforward, super good combo. You can't go wrong with using both of them like that. So that is pretty much Kairi's and Xion's special abilities compared to the other buffers. Esuna, Overwrite, and attribute strength down. This one makes them incredible. Now that we've seen how incredible Kairi and Xion are, let's talk about what you guys, if you do pull them, again, you don't need to pull these guys. Stained glass medals, prime medals, they take care of you. Even if they're not 7 stars, they have all the buffs and debuffs that you need. You can even still get away with using the old Kairi and Xion easily. I did just post a video showing you how to do the critical quest without any Kairi or Xion, old and new. But if you guys do go for this and you get super lucky and you pull them, you might be asking yourself, well, what do I do with them? What traits, what skills do I go for? So currently, as you guys can see, I have my Kairi fully maxed out because I did pull 7 times for her, and I got myself a defense boost 3 max on there. And that's because my other Kairis and Xions, the older ones, now that if you pull these ones, you don't have to worry about what skills are on them. You can throw triple threat on there, you can throw paralysis plus, sleep plus, you can put second chance on them and use them in combination with this, because later on, guys, the one issue with this medal is that if you do cast extra attack, it doesn't go past ×7 or ×8 for attributes. But what happens if they raise the buff cap? If they raise the buff cap, you're going to need this Kairi or Xion along with the old Kairis and Xions to multiply everything, or you're going to need this Kairi into the new prime medals, into the new key art medals, all that stained glass medals, because then they can double up. You cast her first and then cast another medal that has those effects to double up. So if the buff is increased to ×14 or whatever it is, you're going to need something else besides them. So your old Kairi and Xions, they could hold second chance for you, because with this medal, you're not going to get through your whole Keyblade setup in a lot of quests. It's going to be almost near impossible. You're going to cast Kairi or the new Xion, and then you're going to go attack medal, and that's probably the end of the round. You're going to one-turn those enemies. The worst case scenario, you are going to use the whole thing, but we have HP recovery, and we have second chance, so we can die a couple times and still go through our whole Keyblade. So this is too much power. So what you can do is stick second chance on your old Kairis and Xions, and if you already have it, then you're golden, and use this medal for PvP. Having a defense boost max on this medal in PvP means you're going to pretty much be unstoppable. All the buffs and debuffs on this, she's not an attacker, and she holds your defense boost max. Now you just need to put a defense boost 4 or 5 on another medal, and you have one of the most unstoppable Keyblades if you have the right attackers. So if you do pull multiple copies of Kairi or Xion, I highly recommend that you keep them and not put them together. The grayed out medals, those are trait medals. You can fuse them into them without worrying to put traits on them. But if you get the colorful one like this or this way, you want to keep multiples for PvP for each setup. You only need 2 if you're using for 3 Keyblades. You don't need Kairi on every single one. It's just nice to have that one medal in the beginning, having all the buffs and debuffs that you need. Also taking away the enemy's triple threat with the poison and the paralysis. This can really turn out really, really good. But we're going to talk about what skill besides Defense Boost 3 Max is good. Obviously, second chance. Somewhere down the line, if you have so many copies and you want to use this for the high score challenge medal, if you ever make it 7-star for some reason, you could throw an attack boost on there just to have that one hit medal, but I never highly recommend it. That is like the last thing you'll ever do, and that's when they're obsolete and they're no good anymore or something like that. Even then, it's not worth it. So only 2 skills is defense boost and second chance. That's all you need. Second chance for PvE. Defense boost is for PvP mostly. You can still use defense boost for PvE, especially when you combine it with the new Xion. So I really think the best skill for Kairi is second chance, because nothing else says anything. You don't need SP gauge and you don't need attack boost. Defense boost and defense boost max is your best case for this. Now let's talk about traits. What traits do you guys want to go for? And mine has a pretty good example of what good traits are and bad traits are. So first off, ground, -60 for aerial, and well, ground is not needed. Do not put this on this medal. In all these cases that you would need that, it is not even worth it. Other medals will take care of that business for you for damage. Plus 1000, still not needed. It could be good in PvP for that little bit of extra edge if you face the mirror match and they have exactly what you have, 7-star to 7-star, Keyblade, multiplier, all that. You have the edge by having the plus 1000, not including the RNG of defense boost 5s and all that. So yeah, you could do a little bit more damage in PvP to up your score, but I wouldn't recommend that over anything else. So -60s and plus 1000s are out of the question. Second one that you guys should not go for is poison, and that is because Kairi restores poison. So if you are poisoned or paralyzed, she will remove that if you have the ability to do it, because paralyzed might skip her medal, but if it doesn't, she'll get rid of that paralysis. So the number 1 skills, depending on what you're going for, are if you are using the Dark Knot Keyblade, Missing Ache, or Diamond Dust, gauges are actually pretty good. The max gauges plus 2 means that you'll have enough gauges to cast full cast of heavy costing medals, even if they don't have attack boost max and SP gauge, whatever. The gauges on those Keyblades are very important, but that's just for those Keyblades. So I wouldn't rank that at top priority. I would say that is like 3rd priority. Top priority for me personally is extra attack. 1, extra damage in PvP and in PvE, but that's not what extra attack's for. Extra attack is there for the plus 20 restore gauges on you, and that's because, think about this. New medals like the Pete and the Young Mickey that take away all your gauges but do a ton of damage at the end of your Keyblade setup, meaning when you come back to Kairi, she'll restore 20 gauges and you can go for a full cast of heavy costing medals back into that Pete or that Young Mickey or any new medals they make for that. Also, because you have plus 20 gauges, you actually no longer need attack boost maxes and SP gauge, whatever. If a medal says it costs 7, you're golden. If your Keyblade can hold that much, like if your Keyblade has 20 out of 20 and all your medals cost 20 exactly, so you cast everything by the end of your next turn or next group of enemies when you go back to the beginning of your Keyblade, Kairi will restore all your gauges, so you don't need attack boost maxes and SP gauge 0 anymore, because extra attacks takes care of all of that. So I think plus 20 gauges is really good for PvE, not so much for PvP. It's just a little bit more damage, not necessary. What's next on the list when it comes to this medal? You can also get some defense plus 2000, but honestly, again, I think that's on the lowest of the radar compared to everything else, but it's not a bad one either. It will do a little bit difference in PvP and a little bit in PvE, but the major things you guys want to go for when it comes to Kairi, extra attack is not even number 1. Extra attack's good because of the gauge restore and the plus 1 extra counter, so 2 counters on the enemy. What's really good on Kairi is that she can take care of sleep resist. She can't do anything about sleep. So what you want on this medal is sleep resist, because she can cure poison and she can cure paralysis if it doesn't skip her medal. So sleep resist is the priority of this medal, especially like I told you in the beginning. If you got a boosted one, you have 5 trait slots. If you get 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 resist for sleep, you have 100% sleep resist. This is the ultimate PvP medal. You can't be put to sleep. Nobody can touch you. If you also want a combination of both, you can also do paralysis, because paralysis, Zexion's in PvP currently, and with paralysis being 100% proc rate on Zexion, along with your pet saying that it will stick on the enemy, the thing is, even with paralysis resist, you can stop that from happening. So if you have a combination of 5 trait slots, I would go 60% to 80% sleep and 20% to 40% paralysis resist, and you would have a beautiful Kairi. If you want to go pure sleep resist, again 5 or 3 if you only have 3 trait slots. If you only have 3 trait slots, I would go 60% sleep or 40% sleep and 20% paralysis resist, depending on what you guys want to do. And those are the best traits you're going to go for this Kairi and the Xion. Both of them are exactly the same for both cases. There's nothing else needed. The same traits and the same skills applies to both of them. Best skills, defense boost, second chance. Best traits, extra attack, sleep resist, and paralysis resist. That's what you guys want to go for. The other ones are gauges plus 2 or 800 HP, depending if you really need to turtle something, you need that extra HP. That has happened before in the high score challenges that I've done. HP actually made a difference. So that is Kairi and Xion. They're basically very, very, very good medals, but they're also just not necessary currently. But if you do get them, they will change your game compared to what you already have, because they have so much going on for them in one case. Of course, they shine greater in PvP currently than PvE, because in PvE we have enough medals that do everything that we need. I know I've said this a couple times, but I really want you guys to see that you don't need these medals currently, especially if you 7-star Woody, Buzz, or Key Art 17, or the stained glass medals, or the Prime Axle. And even not 7-starring these, they have all the utility that Kairi and Xion has that you need to make all your other attacking medals super, super strong. So even if you don't have these medals 7 stars, put them in the beginning of your Keyblade setup, get all the buffs and debuffs you need, and then start putting your best medals there. The tier 4 7 stars, and you can complete a lot of quests. So Kairi and Xion, guys, incredible medals. It all depends what you want to do. Is it necessary? In some cases, yes, but not as much as the old ones, guys. So whatever you want to do with your Kairi and Xion, if you want to pull, if you want to go for a whole bunch of amazing traits on it, the opportunity is there. There's a guaranteed trait medal every single pull, so if you did pull them, you could reroll traits, but my major advice, guys, is don't chase traits. If you do get this medal, you don't have to chase traits. Don't worry about spending more jewels to get those perfect traits. It's not necessary. The medals by themselves are incredible. Save those jewels for attackers. Pretty much that is everything about Kairi and Xion, guys. If I did miss anything, leave it down in the comment section. Let me know what you're going for. Did you get it? Did you not get it? What are you doing with your copies? Do you agree with what I say in this video? Do you not agree with it? Let's talk about it down below, guys. If you did enjoy the video, though, don't forget to hit the like button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.